I guess this stream is working now. And this is not going to be the world's most organized stream, per se. So you'll have to bear with me. And yes, I am streaming the OpenClaw community right now. Oh, there's a lot of people in presentation. Interesting. Why am I doing the stream? So, going back in time here a little bit. Somewhere around last year, there is this post that I saw on, I think it was Reddit, that came out. And I thought it was kind of interesting, right? This guy had made an AI-powered fact checker. And so let's kind of watch this for just a short little bit. Let's see what it does.
My first question to both of you tonight: why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong? And where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court? President Trump, in this first segment, you go first. 2 minutes.
I will tell you very simply, we won the election.
So it's doing fact checking, right? And I thought this was very cool, novel. Like, maybe somebody's done it before. I'm not an expert in this space. I thought it was cool. AIs back then kind of wasn't where we're at now, obviously. So they did that. But I also found that there was a bigger outfit that was doing that, using this thing called, from Duke, the University of Duke. So between a machine learning professor and one of the journalism guys at Duke, they were able to basically generate a really great way to do fact checking. I think it's been shut down now. At least that's from what I've found. So I have a couple problems with either of these approaches, right? I don't think this one ever kind of went viral, took, or an end application was made out of it. But one of the issues that I have is if you're doing what's, so-called real-time fact checking, you're having to do search, right? Or you're having to have an LLM do some sort of processing and analysis to get to your information. That isn't necessarily real time. There's a lot of latency involved in that. And so my goal wasn't to come up with an alternative to that. It really wasn't. I kind of just happened to sort of arrive at that without really making that my thing to try. So that's where we're at. And so from that now is born an application that I've developed. Let's see here. That I don't even have a name for it right now. I am calling it, at this point, Clario. I haven't even settled on a name. But what Clario does is I was working on developing a database for analyzing semantic logic, right? And semantic logic is something that a lot of undergraduates, first-year university students in the U.S., I don't know how permissive it is, but in the University of California system and some of the better top-tier universities, they make kids go through philosophy, and you learn about what are fallacies in logic and argument and things like that. So I was building a Python engine to be able to execute that sort of thing, right? Oh, great. I'm showing SSH keys because I'm dumb. Anyways, so that's kind of how I arrived at generating that type of work, is to, I'm going to close all those, is to sit here and build an engine out of Python that is going to be able to do that kind of analysis. Because one thing it doesn't do is Python's not going to go out to the internet and have to search for verifying data. It's not going to have to search for data to verify whether or not your claims are true or what's being said on screen is true, and if there's anything there that has any truth to it. And I will be taking this and editing it later, probably for better consumption. So I've sort of built this program to be able to do that kind of analysis based on the semantic information. So what I'm going to do in this live stream right now, and there's nobody here watching at this point, right, is I'm going to pull up a video on YouTube, and then I'm going to have the engine just kind of run on it, run on analyzing the video. So let's pick a couple cool videos. I'll start with something not too controversial here. Let me see if I can find a good video on YouTube where
Welcome everybody, and welcome to those of you joining us on live stream, to this conversation that I have to say I have been looking forward to.
So I'm going to bring this in here now. So in this program that I've built, it can choose which stream it can pull. Let's see what that one called. That one's called full discussion. And if I hit start, it should be able to. Oops, that's very ugly. I guess I got to fix that in the program, right? But what it's able to do is it can take a video feed and do pretty much analysis on that video feed, right? If you're looking at the trace right now on the program, you can see that it's taking my mic input and it's transcribing it, right? And if it detects any fallacies in anything I'm saying, fallacies in logic, it will call it out and it will score it. It'll say like, it's, like 90%, and then it'll tell me if it's an ad hominem attack or appeal nature, appeal emotion, whatever. There's quite a few things in this engine. Now, the really interesting thing that I've found is that a lot of these logic-based analysis, they're already they should exist programmatically in libraries like Python, but really there's only a fraction of them that are set up as libraries in Python in terms of truth testing for programming. So like truth tables for propositional connectives, it sounds like a word jumble, but that's kind of like something that's already baked into Python. There's like 10 other tests that are not. But let's just watch what this thing can do. I could plug modules into this program as we go. But really, what compelled me to want to come up with this program? Well, I kind of get on Zoom calls quite often, and I get on webcasts quite often. And, I don't have the time to sit here and take notes, one. But two, I want to be able to have like an independent, like third-party judge, if you will, have the ability to analyze kind of what's going on. And the best way to do that is to take what's being said, which is the verbal data, right? The semantic data, structure it, and then analyze it. But if you take that and you put it through an LLM, there's a lot of latency. There's potential for hallucination, that sort of sort of thing. Vectorized analysis, some people call it machine learning. I mean, is it really? It's just Python. Is scripted. So it's in the millisecond range, sub-millisecond range in terms of depending on how fast your compute is. So it can do near real time, right? All those other things out there that are checking databases, that are checking Wikipedia, that are doing fact checking, they have to go out and search that information, digest it, and then display it back. So you kind of lose the value of immediacy, right? This doesn't, because programmatically it's taking whatever's being said and analyzing it near real time. And now if you're looking at the program, I know this is very, very small in text, but I'm going to highlight this amount of text right now. I'm going to analyze selected. And yeah, apparently I myself am making some logical fallacies here. So whatever tu coque is, it's, I guess I need to look at how I'm putting things out there too. So I'm being real-time fact-checked myself. So let's see here. I mean, I guess it picked it up as well here very recently. But I'm going to play a video here, and we'll just be kind of have like a little bit of a watch party, and everyone can see kind of how the application operates to analyze how these two leaders of AI, Demis Hassabis from Google and Dario Amodei from Anthropic, kind of debate, you know, the state of the art of AI, if you will, and where we're at. I know this is not the prettiest interface in the world in terms of, you know, what you're able to see, but let's see what we can do. So I'm gonna take this YouTube video,
For months.
start playing it.
I was lucky enough to moderate a conversation between Dario Amodei and Demis Hassabis last year in Paris, which I'm afraid got most attention for the fact that you two were squashed on a very small love seat while I sat on an enormous sofa, which was probably my screw up. But I said at that point that this was, for me, like, you know, sharing a conversation between the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. And you have
Now you can see it's a little bit laggy on the screen, right? Because that's compute. And this is running on a local instance on my computer. So that's why it might be a little bit choppy. But in general, it's not bad. The processing overhead's not that bad, really.
So if I go on the timeline, Dario, you last year in Paris said, we'll have a model that can do everything a human could do at the level of a Nobel laureate across many fields by 26, 27. We're in 26. Do you still stand by that timeline?
So, you know, it's always hard to know exactly when something will happen, but I don't think that's going to turn out.
So a couple things that you may not be able to see very clearly unless you have a very big monitor here is if you're looking at the feed down here on the very bottom. I don't even know if you guys can see my mouse, but it's analyzing exactly kind of like his emotional state. The color that's filling in the boxes is real time analyzing his emotional state. It's even taking people that are in the background and applying that to them as well. And if you look at the transcription feed, there's different colors here depending on whether or not I'm talking or Dario's talking or Demis is talking. And it is analyzing what they're saying real time.
That exponential is going to speed us up, but something fast is going to happen.
Dennis, were a little more cautious last year. You said a 50% chance of a system that can exhibit all the cognitive capabilities humans can by the end of the decade. Clearly in coding, as Gary says, it's been remarkable. What is your sense of, do you stand by your prediction, and what's changed in the past year?
Yeah, look, I think I'm still on the same kind of timeline. I think there has been remarkable progress, but I think some areas of kind of engineering work, coding, also you could say mathematics, are a little bit easier to see how they'll be automated, partly because they're verifiable what the output is. Some areas of natural science are much harder to do than that. You won't necessarily know if the chemical compound you built or this prediction about physics is correct. You may have to test it experimentally, and that will all take longer. So I also think there are some missing capabilities at the moment in terms of like not just solving existing conjectures or existing problems, but actually coming up with the question in the first place, or coming up with the theory or the hypothesis. I think that's much, much harder. And
So no one's actually watching this stream right now, so there's no danger necessarily in anything that needs editing. But in general, you can see what the program's doing. It's not going out to the internet to pull data to do this fact checking. It's actually doing logic analysis and analyzing whether or not, you know, the claims that people are making are real based on rules of logic.
Everyone was incredibly excited about what happened there, and there was still a sense, you know, that Google DeepMind was kind of lagging OpenAI. I would say that now it's looking quite different. I mean, they declared code red, right? It's been quite a year. So talk me through what specifically you've been surprised by and how well you've done this year, and whether you think that I'm going to ask you about the lineup.
well, look, I think I was always very confident we would get back to sort of the top of the leaderboards and the SOTA type of models across the board, because I think we've always had like the deepest and broadest research bench, and it was about kind of marshalling that all together and getting the intensity and focus and the kind of startup mentality back to the whole organization. And it's been a lot of work, and but I think we're still a lot of work to do. But I think you can start seeing the kind of the progress that's been made in both the models with Gemini 3, but also on the product side with Gemini app getting increasing market share. So I feel like we're making great progress, but there's a ton more work to do. And you know, we're bringing to bear Google DeepMind's kind of like the engine room of Google, where we're getting used to.
The one thing about the model right now is it's a little bit off on age predictions. You know, these, you know, clearly Dario's not 35 and this woman's not 45 either. So, oh, it's saying Dario's 50. I mean, it tends to run a little young, maybe by almost like a decade at times.
Very openly about OpenAI, but talk me through how you think about that, and then we'll get to the AGI stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think how we think about that is, you know, as we've built better and better models, there's been a kind of exponential relationship, not only between how much compute you put into the model and how cognitively capable it is, but between how cognitively capable it is and how much revenue it's able to generate. So our revenue's grown 10x in the last 3 years, from 0 to 100 million in 2023, 100 million to a billion in 2024, and 1 billion to 10 billion in 2025. And so those revenue numbers, you know, I don't know if that curve will literally continue. It would be crazy if it did. But those numbers are starting to get not too far from, you know, the scale of the largest companies in the world. So there's always uncertainty. You know, we're trying to bootstrap this from nothing. It's a crazy thing, but I have confidence that if we're able to produce the best models in the things that we focus on, then I think things will go well. And you know, I will generally say, you know, I think it's been a good year for both Google and Anthropic. And I think the thing we actually have in common is that they're both kind of companies that are, you know, or the research part of the company that are kind of led by researchers who focus on the models, who focus on solving important problems in the world, right? You have these kind of hard scientific problems as a North Star. And I think those are the kind of companies that are going to succeed going forward. And you know, I think we share that between us.
I'm going to resist the temptation to ask you what will happen to the companies that are not led by researchers. Was predictions area now, and this we are supposed to be talking about the day after AI, but let's talk about closing the loop. The odds that you will get models that will close the loop and be able to, power themselves, if you will, because that's really the crux for the winner takes all threshold approach. Do you still believe that we are likely to see that, or is this going to be much more of a normal technology where followers and catch up can compete?
Well, look, I definitely think it's going to be a normal technology. So, I mean, there are aspects already that, as Sarah mentioned, that it's already helping with our coding and has some aspects of research. The full closing of the loop, though, I think is an unknown. I mean, I think it's possible to do. You may need AGI itself to be able to do that in some domains. Again, where these domains, where there's more messiness around them, it's not so easy to verify your answer very quickly. There's kind of NP hard domains. So as soon as you start getting more, and I also include, by the way, for AGI, physical AI, robotics working, all these kind of things, and then you've got hardware in the loop, that may limit how fast the self-improving systems can work. But I think in coding and mathematics and these kind of areas, I can definitely see that working. And then the question is more theoretical one: is what is the limit of engineering and maths to solve the natural sciences?
What would you tell a man who can scroll for hours but can't work?
God, I hate these ads.
Himself for it every night.
Darren, you last year, I think it was last year that you published Machines of Loving Grace, which was a very, I would say, upbeat essay about the potential that you were going to see unfold. And you were talking about, what was it, a genius of data, a country center. I'm told that you are working on an update to this, a new essay. So, wait for it, guys. It's not out yet, but it is coming out. Perhaps you can give us a sort of a sneak preview of what a year later your big take is going to be.
Yes. So, my take has not changed. It has always been my view that, AI is going to be incredibly powerful. I think Demis and I, kind of agree on that. It's just a question of exactly when. And because it's incredibly powerful, it will do all these wonderful things, like the ones I talked about in Machines of Loving Grace. It, will help us cure cancer. It may help us to eradicate tropical diseases. It will help us understand the universe. But that there are these, immense and grave risks that, not that we can't address.
I need to find some videos to analyze that are going to be kind of a better
And I wrote Machines of Loving Grace first.
analysis.
To give some sophisticated reason why I wrote that first, but it was just that the positive essay was easier and more fun to write than the negative essay. So, I finally spent some time on vacation, and I was able to write an essay about the risks. And even when I'm writing about the risks, I tried, I'm like an optimistic person, right? So even as I'm writing about these risks, I wrote about it in a way that was like, how do we overcome these risks? How do we have a battle plan to fight them? And the way I framed it was, there's this scene from Carl Sagan's Contact, the movie version of it, where they kind of discover alien life and international.
Let's see, is Dario being... Oh, I guess there's no fallacies so far in what he's saying.
Presented to meet the alien. And one of the questions they asked one of the candidates is, if you could ask the aliens any one question, what would it be? And one of the characters says, I would ask, how did you do it? How did you manage to get through this technological adolescence without destroying
I think I need to build other modules
and ever since I
to analyze emotional stability and use... I'm not using the voice channel really to do any kind of like analysis on voice signatures.
basically machines out of sand, right? I think it was inevitable that the instant we started working with fire.
Jordan Crawford is an advisor to Clay, the founder of Blueprint GTM, and one of the most respected AI practitioners.
Let's see.
He's also doing strange but impressive things like using AI to uncover every single user of a given SaaS product. I asked Claude to go help me solve this problem. I took all of the emails in their TAM and submitted 110,000. And I found all of the actual users of their competitor software. That is diabolical. In today's episode, Jordan lays out how the best teams are using AI to win, but also why most C-suite AI mandates are completely hollow. You read these letters from all these CEOs, and they're like, we need to be an AI-first organization. I can't tell you what that means or how to implement it, but with Jordan is amazing because he's leading the field of go-to-market AI. He's building every day, testing every day, and he knows what actually delivers results. AI can basically analyze customers' words, actions, and what's in the CRM and say these accounts are worth 10 times more than these accounts. Hugely valuable for the go-to-market organization, but the CRM needs to. Welcome to Top Line. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Top Line. It's Sam Jacobs.
So I guess one of the questions is, if we have these tools, right, to, I mean, I don't want to say jailbreak people, but to kind of understand people's motivations a little bit better. Now, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, if you're going to build something that's real time, you can't, I mean, you can't rely on inferencing latencies, right? Unless you're a big enough company, obviously you have the compute to where the compute's local to you. So you have tons and tons of compute resource available to lower that latency. But even then, you better have a database big enough to have all of that data local. And otherwise you're gonna miss out on a lot. Red envelope. There is going to be a point where I can't avoid integrating AI and LLM, because right now it's semantically taking words through the transcription and basically doing pattern matching. And pattern matching is cool and all, and it's fast, and we've been doing that for a couple decades. It's not, there is no necessarily inherent intelligence in pattern matching. So we need to have a little bit more intelligence than just pattern matching. And where the LLM is going to come in is it's going to need to take these words, these semantic chunks, identify them, identify the words' relationships to each other, and then put them in different parts of a logical test. And so how did I arrive at this? I pulled out this old book from my undergrad, which is quite a long time ago. If you look, there's, in the whatever of a book, there's always all these like cheat sheets and whatever. Believe it or not, those are enough to build algorithms off of. Algorithms that then you can apply to a heuristic, right? And so in a way, that's kind of what's missing in AI today. And so I went old school and ordered a book holder from Amazon. Physically, literally holds a book up and open to the page. And, with that one little exercise, I was able to extract and develop a whole new engine that apparently doesn't exist in Python libraries or Java libraries or some of these other libraries. I even looked through Hugging Face's millions of data sets and LLMs, and there's LLMs that have that are geared towards logic analysis and things like that, and they're mostly law and attorney geared type of LLMs, but I haven't seen anything that is going to do what I think I'm trying to do. And it's ironic because, This is stuff that Aristotle came up with in 345 CE, whenever that is.
And so I think as CRO, you need to be able to understand them. And this RevOps is a particularly interesting example here because they're one of the most overlapping with what AI can do. So they're probably a pretty good use case of using AI. But the problem is that you can get them to do their existing job really well, but you have to set a different strategy. And part of that is because you have no better view about what what is possible with AI, what the greatest imagination you could possibly have, and you don't even know to start from there because you haven't used the tools. And so instead of having a strategy that's like, well, hey, RevOps person, AI-ify my whatever, I don't know, make it more AI, you need to say, well, okay, our SDR team is doing this, we need to pull that out of their work and save them time. You need to be able to be a real thought partner to the RevOps person because maybe RevOps hasn't been the most strategic business unit so far in the last many years. It's been very administrative, and so actually for this to work, the two of these people have to be real thought partners for which the CRO cannot be a yellow belt in AI. It's kind of the whole point, right? Yeah, you have to basically be able to understand these things can do a lot of what we imagine. Let me give you an example. There is a very large software vendor that a company that was wanting to work with me, and they said, well, we sit on top of them, and we want to know all of their, I said, wave the magic wand. Wave the magic wand, what would you like to know? So we'd like to know all of their users. And so overnight, I asked Claude Code to go help me solve this problem. And fancy words, they got a microphone, so of course we got some fancy words. But I was like, okay, well, do X, Y, or Z. And so Claude was basically able to not only determine all 103,000 of their users, but the addition tiers that they were on. So are they enterprise? Are they mid-market? Are they on a free tier, right? And so you wouldn't even know to ask that question if you didn't play around with the edges. You would ask a much smaller and a much shorter question. And that's an example of a problem that you never task me. You never really task me with to go say, go find all 103,000 of your users. But AI can actually do that fairly easily, and it's deterministic. It's easy to determine if it's right or not. Hugely valuable for the go-to-market organization, but the CRO needs to know past these types
I love how this guy just said AI is deterministic.
you are running a community full of CROs. What percent of the CROs out there do you think
I kind of need something a little bit more interesting here. I kind of liked when Dwarkesh pissed off Jensen.
Nowhere, we've begun. There's different perspectives on this, but I do think that a lot of people of our generation, my generation, feel an existential dread about needing to understand how to use these tools and to use AI.
So, I mean, there's nobody on this stream right now, but a question I'm wondering is, if this is a tool that, and I can foresee me evolving this into a model that's able to, I don't know, give you insight into who you're talking to on Zoom or who you're listening to on YouTube. And, I mean, I'm going to have to give the disclaimer that it's for entertainment purposes. But for entertainment purposes, let's call it a lie detector. What does that do for you? What does that give you? Does that really give you a leg up? I don't know. That's a good question. And as I sit here and I posit these things, the tool itself is transcribing what I'm saying, and yeah, it's analyzing me. This stuff's kind of boring. Boring. So I'm going to pause that for a sec. I'm going to go find some other content. Let's see about Jensen and Dwarkesh podcast. Let's go find a podcast. Oh, there's a Chinese version. I'm not even going to tackle that shit. Oops.
Built 10, which built 10, you can build 1 million. And so
authority.
These things are not hard to replicate.
How far down the supply chain do you go? Where do you go to ASML and say, hey, if I look out 3 years from now, for NVIDIA to be generating $2 trillion in your revenue, we need way more AUV machines. And
Some of them I have to directly, some of them I indirectly, and some of them, if I can convince TSMC, ASML will be convinced. And so we have to think about the critical pinch points. And but if TSMC is convinced, you'll have plenty of EUV machines in a few years. And so none of that. My point is that none of the bottlenecks last longer than a couple, 2, 3 years.
I mean, I think this model that is analyzing the faces needs to be a little bit more tightened up, because it's saying fear. It's capturing anger when I look down at the trace. Says that Jensen's got some anger in him for the direction that some of these suppositions from Dwarkesh are going.
So those are things that none of that worry me. It's the stuff that's downstream from us. Energy policies that prevent energy from you can't grow, you can't create an industry without energy. You can't create a whole new manufacturing industry without energy. We want to reindustrialize the United States. We want to bring back chip manufacturing and computer manufacturing and packaging, and we want to build new things like EVs and robots, and we want to build AI factories. You can't build any of these things without energy, and those things take a long time. But more chip capacity, that's a 2-3 year problem. More CoWoS capacity, 2-3 year problem.
I feel like I have guests tell me the exact opposite things sometimes, and in this case, I just don't have the technical knowledge to adjudicate. But
Well, the beautiful thing is you talking to the expert.
yeah,
I love how Jensen just basically says you're talking to God himself on this subject matter, and yet you're still questioning it.
arguably 2 out of the top 3 models in the world, Claude and Gemini, were trained on TPU. What does that mean for NVIDIA going forward?
Well, we build a very different thing. What NVIDIA built is accelerated computing, not a tensor processing unit. And accelerated computing is used for all kinds of things. Molecular dynamics and quantum chromodynamics, and it's used for data processing, data frames, structured data, unstructured data. It's used for fluid dynamics, particle physics. And in addition, we use it for AI. And so accelerated computing is much more diverse, and although AI is the conversation today, is obviously very important and is impactful, computing is much broader than that. And what NVIDIA has done is reinvented the way computing is done, from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. Our market reach is far greater than any TPU, any ASIC can possibly do. And so you look at our position, we're the only company that accelerates applications of all kinds. We have a gigantic ecosystem, and so all kinds of frameworks and algorithms all run on NVIDIA. And because our computers are designed to be operated by other people, anyone who's an operator could buy our systems. Most of these home-built systems, you have to be your own operator, because we're never designed to be flexible enough for other people to operate. And so, as a result of the fact that anybody can operate our systems, we're in every cloud, including Google and Amazon and Azure and OCI, right? And so whether you want to operate it to rent or operate it, if you want to operate it to rent, you better have a large ecosystem of customers in many industries that be the off-takers. If you're operating it, if you want to operate it for yourself, we obviously have the ability to help you operate yourself, like for example, for Elon with XAI. And because we could enable operators in any
I don't know if I've ever seen Jensen flapped before.
use it to build a supercomputer for scientific research and drug discovery.
He's definitely annoyed.
And so we can help them operate their own supercomputer and use it for the entire diversity of drug discovery and biological sciences that we accelerate. And so
Yeah, the color traces need to be a little bit tighter on identifying who's speaking in the program. I mean, should we
And because we have such
kind of go off the farm here and
basically support
listen into something live and unpredictable and
build NVIDIA systems in
see what that's like?
it's a very different thing.
This is going to be sort of a long question, but you know,
I'm gonna pause Dwarkesh here in a second,
and the strategy
and I am going to pull up
really important.
a Discord channel, and let's listen in on what the discussion is going on in that Discord channel right now. It could be off the rails, 100% off the rails. Like, I'm not even joking with you guys. But if the audio is passing through, the audio is passing through. There's not much more we can do about it here.
In like 2021. I didn't even have that much. I had like, no, it was 2020. I had like maybe like £200 worth. I bought it because I was like, oh, I'm selling GPUs and people seem to want NVIDIA GPUs more than they want AMD ones, and you know, and then basically see how that went. But to be fair, I sold it, I bought Tesla stock, and I bought my house, so not the worst thing. Who's sharing their screen? What are you doing? That looks sick.
Oh yeah, making tactical 3D Pepe.
That's cool. Is that all AI?
Yeah, I'm starting with this. And I'm removing the background. This is like the mask.
So as you guys can see, like,
Goes through this model.
I've got this Reddit, or not Reddit. God, I'm so confused. I've got this
Really understand.
Discord channel up,
Look at this.
Is that like a public?
and it's real-time transcribing the audio.
This is comfy UI.
Right. Okay.
Comfy UI. Yeah.
So if there's anything in here that I find to be questionable,
The
I can analyze it,
grid
right?
tool is comfy.
All I need to do is take this program and
And then I'm using
add
it
some
to,
more
uh,
analysis vectors. Right now it's doing
2.1. I'm using this one.
right now it's doing logical analysis.
Oh, it's free. It's open source.
Like to run it as well.
Yeah. I'm running it on my.
Just need a more computer that's powerful enough. Although honestly, these models aren't that crazy heavy, so.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. I see that now. Local host. Oh my god. Oh, I'm like smiling.
Yeah, it's totally local.
That's sick.
You can run different steps on a cloud if you prefer it that way too. So you can integrate both.
You can do some crazy stuff with Comfy. You can do some crazy stuff with Comfy UI. It's just a pain in the ass to set up a little bit. And it breaks a lot, especially if you try to build your own models or if you try to take two pre-built workflows and bash them together. There are often a lot of
Let's see what's going on the other channel.
like
Ooh, there's a max number of people.
and, like complex. Oftentimes there are a lot of complex. So it can be. It's really powerful. You can do crazy.
Anyone in the developer channel?
It's never going to.
No, I guess
It's
not.
never going to be as fast or as reliable as the paid solutions. If you're doing image generation, Gemini is always going to be better. If you're doing video, VO is usually going to be better. Or like Higgsfield, if you want to use Higgsfield with their party
Yeah,
models.
like, for sure. Because they're like it's like not even a fair comparison, right? They've got like data center hardware.
This is free, and you can't beat free, right?
And then that's like fully free, like free as in diesel, not free as in like free beer. That's
Yeah,
good.
free.
I like
Free.
that.
You just put it on your computer, and it's there forever, right?
How much, if you don't mind me asking, how much are you like using? Like, sorry, let me.
Like VRAM?
Yeah, like VRAM and RAM, like to do that.
You see, so I was kind of watching my VRAM during different steps. On the K sampler, it was going like crazy high, like 11.6 out of 12. But then on
Okay,
this
so you've
step,
got 12 gigs of
So
VRAM.
it's important to note that the K sampler is the only node in here that's actually doing anything.
yeah,
The other ones are just so I can explain. So you've got you're loading your model, right, which is the 3D model, 1.3D version 2.1. Your clip vision encode basically takes text and encodes it into a format that's like the model. Wait, clip vision encode. Yeah, sorry, Clip Vision Encoder is taking your image and encoding.
So imagine for a second I take this example, and instead of listening to what's going on in Discord, I am using this little side panel in a job interview, or I'm interviewing somebody, right? Obviously, you're gonna have to disclose some things, but how powerful is this tool if it was at your disposal? Because some of those other early examples I mentioned, they're fact checkers, so the facts have to exist for you to check against them, right? This is using fundamentals of logic and potentially other academic indices that we had to use pre-open information kind of era, right? Let's pull up the Dwarkesh versus Dario, because Dario is kind of a character on that. Dario Dwarkesh podcast. It's a very long podcast. But yes, I'm old, so I gotta throw my glasses on here. We'll do the stop here. Oh, this was 2 months ago as well.
We talked 3 years ago. I'm curious, in your view, what has been the biggest update of the last 3 years? What has been the biggest difference between what it felt like last 3 years versus now? Yeah, I would say actually the underlying technology, like the exponential of the technology, has gone, broadly speaking, I would say about as I expected it to go. I mean, there's like plus or minus, a couple. There's plus or minus a year or two here. There's plus or minus a year or two there. I don't know that I would predict the specific direction of code, but actually when I look at the exponential, it is roughly what I expected in terms of the march of the models from smart high school student to smart college student to beginning to do PhD and professional stuff, and in the case of code, reaching beyond that. So the frontier is a little bit uneven. It's roughly what I expected. I will tell you though what the most surprising thing has been. The most surprising thing has been the lack of public recognition of how close we are to the end of the exponential. To me, it is absolutely wild that you have people within the bubble and outside the bubble. But then you have people talking about these just the same tired old hot button political issues, and around us we're near the end of the exponential. I want to understand what the exponential looks like right now, because the first question I asked you when we recorded 3 years ago was, what's up with scaling? How does it work? I have a similar question now, but I feel like it's a more complicated question because, at least from the public's point of view, yes, 3 years ago there were these well-known public trends where across many orders of magnitude of compute you can see how the loss improves. And now we have RL scaling, and there's no publicly known scaling law for it. It's not even clear what exactly the story is of, is this supposed to be teaching the model skills? Is it supposed to be teaching meta learning? What is the scaling hypothesis at this point? Yeah, so I have actually the same hypothesis that I had even all the way back in 2017.
It's kind of interesting if you watch a guy like Dario. Obviously, he's got some level of intelligence, right? And his eye-to-eye engagement with Dwarkesh is kind of deviates significantly whenever he needs to access information in his head.
There was scaling of the kind of RL that happened, kind of happened in AlphaGo, and that happened in Dota at OpenAI, and people remember StarCraft at DeepMind, the Alpha Star.
I mean, a lot of this psychological analysis data, nonverbal indices have existed since the 70s, since the 1960s. They just need to get translated into modern programmatic engines and to be able to be applied to situations real time.
One is how much raw compute you have. other is the quantity of data that you have. Then the third is kind of the quality and distribution of data, right? It needs to be a broad distribution of data. The fourth is, I think, how long you train for. The fifth is you need an objective function that can scale to the moon. So the pre-trained objective function is one such objective function, right? Another objective function is, the kind of RL objective function that says, like, you have a goal, you're going to go out and reach the goal. Within that, of course, there's objective rewards, like you see in math and coding, and there's more subjective rewards, like you see in RL from human feedback, or kind of higher order versions of that. And then the sixth and seventh were things around kind of like normalization or conditioning, like, just getting the numerical stability so that kind of the big blob of compute flows in this laminar way instead of running into problems. So that was the hypothesis, and it's a hypothesis I still hold. I don't think I've seen very much that is not in line with that hypothesis. And so the pre-training scaling laws were one example of kind of what we see there. And indeed, those have continued going. Like, I think now it's been widely reported, like, we feel good about pre-training. Like, pre-training is continuing to give us gains. What has changed is that now we're also seeing the same thing for RL, right? So we're seeing a pre-training phase, and then we're seeing like an RL phase on top of that. And with RL, it's actually just the same. Like, even other companies have published in some of their releases have published things that say, look, we trained the model on math contests, AIME or the kind of other things, and how well the model does is log linear and how long we've trained it. And we see that as well, and it's not just math content, it's a wide variety of RL tasks. And so we're seeing the same scaling in RL that we saw for pre-training. You mentioned Richard Sutton in Twitter lesson. Yeah, I interviewed him last year, and he is actually very non-LLM filled. And I don't know if this is his perspective, but one way to paraphrase this objection is something like, look, something which possesses the true core of human learning would not require all these billions of dollars of data and compute and these bespoke environments to learn how to use Excel, or how to use PowerPoint, how to navigate a web browser. And the fact that we have to build in these skills using these RL environments hints that we're actually lacking this core human learning algorithm. And so we're scaling the wrong thing. And so yeah, that is a great question. Why are we doing all this RL scaling if we do think there's something that's going to be human-like in its ability to learn on the fly? Yeah. So I think this kind of puts together several things that should be kind of thought of differently. Yeah. I think there is a genuine puzzle here, but it may not matter. In fact, I would guess it probably doesn't matter. So let's take the RL out of it for a second, because I actually think RL, it's a red herring to say that RL is any different from pre-training in this matter. So if we look at pre-training scaling, it was very interesting. Back in 2017, when Alec Radford was doing GPT-1, if you look at the models before GPT-1, they were trained on these data sets that didn't represent a wide, distribution of text, right? You had these very standard, kind of language modeling benchmarks, and GPT-1 itself was trained on a bunch of, I think it was fan fiction actually, but it was like literary text. This is a very small fraction of the text that you get, and what we found with that, and in those days it was like 1 billion words or something, so small data sets, and represented a pretty narrow distribution, right? Like a narrow distribution of kind of what you can see in the world. And it didn't generalize well. If you did better on, I forget what it was, some kind of fan fiction corpus, it wouldn't generalize that well to kind of the other cat. We had all these measures of like, how well does the model do at predicting all of these other kinds of tests. You really didn't see the generalization. It was only when you trained over all the tasks on the internet, when you kind of did a general internet scrape, right, from something like, Common Call or scraping links on Reddit, which is what we did for GPT-2. It's only when you do that that you kind of started to get generalization. And I think we're seeing the same thing on RL, that we're starting with first very simple RL tasks like training on math competitions. Then we're kind of moving to, kind of broader training that involves things like code as a task. And now we're moving to do kind of many other tasks. And then I think we're going to increasingly get generalization. So that kind of takes out the RL versus the pre-training side of it. But I think there is a puzzle here either way, which is that on pre-training, when we train the model on pre-training, we use like trillions of tokens, right? And humans don't see trillions of words. So there is an actual sample efficiency difference here. There is actually something different that's happening here, which is that the models start from scratch. And,
Oh no, Andrew's watching my stream as the only person that's on the stream watching it.
also see that once they're trained, if we give them a long context length, the only thing blocking a long context length is like inference. But if we give them like a context length of 1 million, they're very good at learning and adapting within that context length. And so I don't know the full answer to this, but I think there's something going on that pre-training, it's not like the process of humans learning. It's somewhere between the process of humans learning and the process of human evolution. It's somewhere.
So Andrew, I don't know if you can hear the audio, but basically I built this real-time, like, I mean, it's not a fact checker because it's not checking facts. It's more real-time, like, are you making logical, let's just call it lies. Are you lying?
Maybe we should think of pre-training and, for that matter, RL as well, as something that exists in the middle space between human evolution and, kind of human on-the-spot learning, and as the in-context learning that the models do as something between long-term human learning and short-term human learning.
I can't pull the chat very easily, but I was just doing this in lieu of recording. But
The LLM phases exist along the spectrum, but not necessarily exactly at the same points. There's no analogs to
this thing's running locally on my computer. The computer is at like 100% GPU and like 100% CPU. It's pretty insane.
For example, if the analogy is that this is like evolution, so it's fine that it's not that sample efficient, then if we're going to get the kind of super sample efficient agent from in-context learning, why are we bothering to build in
What's a good video I could pull?
companies which are
That, like a classic one. Like, I don't know, would it be funny to pull up like the Bill Clinton one and see how Bill Clinton does on his I Never Touched That Woman interview? Here, let's see.
I can't speak for the emphasis of anyone else. I can only talk about how we think about it.
Oh, this one's 14 minutes. Let's see. I'm not watching 2 hours of Bill Clinton. Let's see. Come on, Bill Clinton. Oh, there's no audio on this AP stream. Oh no, here it is.
Goodman, I think maybe I can save you and the grand jury a lot of time if I read a statement which I think will make it clear what the nature of my relationship with Ms. Lewinsky was, how it related to the testimony I gave, what I was trying to do in that testimony. And I think it will perhaps make it possible for you to ask even more relevant questions from your point of view. And with your permission, I'd like to read that statement. Absolutely, please, Mr. President.
on certain occasions in early 1996 and once in early 1997. I engaged in conduct that was wrong. These encounters did not consist of sexual intercourse. They did not constitute sexual relations as I understood that term to be defined at my January 17, 1998 deposition. But they did involve inappropriate, intimate contact. These inappropriate encounters ended at my insistence in early 1997. I also had occasional telephone conversations with Mr. Lewinsky that included inappropriate sexual banter.
I think it's going to need to take a lot more development.
Came to include this conduct, and I take full responsibility for my actions. While I will provide the grand jury whatever other information I can, because of privacy considerations affecting my family, myself, and others, and in an effort to preserve the dignity of the office I hold. This is all I will say about the specifics of these particular matters.
Now watch, Andrew. I'm going to take part of his transcript. I'm going to analyze it. 50% probability that he's
Understanding of the term sexual relationship as I understood it to be defined at my January 17, 1998 deposition.
his lawyers did a fairly good job of crafting that.
And I believe that is the definition that most ordinary Americans would give it. If you said Jane and Harry have a sexual relationship, and you're not talking about people being gone into a lawsuit and being given definitions and then a great effort to trick them in some way, but you're just talking about people in ordinary conversations. I'll bet the grand jurors, if they were talking about two people I know and said they have a sexual relationship, they meant they were sleeping together. They meant they were having intercourse together. So I'm not at all sure that this affidavit is not true. It was not true in Mr. Lewinsky's mind at the time she swore it out. They proceeded to cross the country and try to turn up whatever they could. Not because they thought it would help their case. By the time they did this discovery, they knew what the deal was in their case.
If you look at this trace right here, this is automatic. It's automatically flagging logical fallacies and then scoring them.
What they wanted to do and what they did do and what they had done by the time I showed up here.
So Clinton's being very manipulative here with a 90% probability.
Get it in a deposition and then leak it. Anyway, she worked in the chief of staff's office. One night she brought me some pizza. We had some remarks. She had given me a particularly nice book for Christmas, an antique book on presidents. She knew that I collected old books, and it was a very nice thing. And I just thought I ought to get up a few things and give them to her before she left.
Mr. President, is this before or after your pants were down?
What if, they asked me.
Yeah, what if, Bill? What if?
That's the memory I had. That's why I questioned whether it happened on the 28th, because she had a subpoena with the request for justice. And I told her that if they asked her for gifts, you'd have to give them whatever she had. That's what the law was.
After this relationship, this intimate, inappropriate intimate relationship between you and Ms. Lewinsky ended, she continued to send you numerous intimate notes, cards. Is that right?
Well, they were, some of them were somewhat, and when I say most of them, most of the notes and cards were affectionate, all right, but she had clearly accepted the fact that there could be no contact between us that was in any way inappropriate.
Well, not only did you not try to involve her, you specifically tried to exclude her and everyone else. Isn't that right?
I've never, it's almost humorous, so I have to be an exhibitionist not to have tried to exclude everyone else.
Wow, he smiled there for a second, and the actual program caught it.
I was never alone with her, right? Well, I was never alone with her. Mr. Listener. I was never alone with her, right? Might be a question. And what I might have meant by that is in the Oval Office complex. Because we've been going for more than an hour. Would you mind if we take a break? I need to go to the restroom.
In the fellow grand jury, what is tricky about the question that anyone other than your attorneys ever challenged?
No, there's nothing. I'm just telling you, I have explained, I will now explain for the third time, sir. I was being asked a number of questions here. I was struggling to remember them. There were lots of things that had gone on during this time period that had nothing to do with Monica Lewinsky. You know, I believed then, I believe now, that Monica Lewinsky could have sworn out an honest affidavit that under reasonable circumstances and without the benefit of what Linda Tripp did to her would have given her a chance not to be a witness in this case. So I didn't have perfect memory of all these events that have now, in the last 7 months, since Ms. Lewinsky was kept for several hours by 4 or 5 of your lawyers and 4 or 5 FBI agents, as if she were a serious felon. These things have become the most important matters in the world. At the moment they were occurring, many other things were going on. It now appears to me they didn't because they were afraid I would give them the truthful answers, and that there's been some communication between you and Ms. Tripp and them, and they were trying to set me up and trick me. And now you seem to be complaining that they didn't do a good enough job. I did my best, sir, at this time. I did not know what I now know about this. A lot of other things were going on in my life. Did I want this to come out? No. Was I embarrassed about it? Yes. Did I ask her to lie about it? No. Did I believe that?
Can the mic hear me?
Absolutely. Now that's all I know to say.
Actually, it can.
I will continue to answer your question.
Can the mic hear me?
My goal in this definition was to be truthful, but not particularly helpful. I did not wish to do the work of the Jones lawyers. I deplored what they were doing. I deplored the innocent people they were tormenting and traumatizing. I deplored their illegal meeting. I deplored the fact that they knew, once they knew our evidence, that this was a bogus lawsuit, and that because of the funding they had from my political enemies, they were putting ahead. I deplored it, but I was determined to walk through the minefield of this deposition without violating the law, and I believe I did.
Mr. President, it's not our intent to embarrass you, but since we have to look, among other things, at obstruction of justice, questions of obstruction of justice and perjury, the answer to some of these...
Oh, you can still hear my mic when I'm talking right now, even though I've got it turned off?
And that is the purpose that we have to ask them for.
There's not, Mr. Watchberg, with respect, you don't need to know the
Oh, shit. Yeah? Okay.
The answer, no matter what the answer is, wouldn't constitute perjury because it was a sexual relation as defined by the judge. The only reason you need to know that is for some other reason. It couldn't have anything to do with perjury.
If she says that you kissed her breast, would she be lying?
I'm going to revert to my former statement.
Okay. If Monica Lewinsky says that while you were in the Oval Office area, you touched her genitalia, would she be lying? And that calls for a yes, no, or reverting to your former statement.
I will revert to my statement on that.
If Monica Lewinsky says that you used a cigar as a sexual aid with her in the Oval Office area, would she be lying? Yes, no, or won't answer?
I will revert to my former statement.
If Monica Lewinsky says that you had phone sex with her, would she be lying?
Well, that is, at least in general terms, I think it's covered by my statement. I addressed that in my statement, and that I don't believe it's
Let me define phone sex for purposes of my question. Phone sex occurs when a party to a phone conversation masturbates while the other party is talking in a sexually explicit manner. The question is, if Monica Lewinsky says that you had phone sex with her, would she be lying?
I think that is covered by my statement.
Yeah, I thought I was turning off the mic on OBS, but I guess it wasn't at the time.
Once I got into this unfortunate and wrong conduct, that
Oh, I was hitting the wrong mic.
which I knew I'd have to do, which I should have done a long time before I did.
It should not be pulling it on the mic now.
Not because Monica Lewinsky is a bad person. She's basically a good girl,
It's still pulling it on the mic.
a young woman with a good heart and a good mind.
Is it still pulling it on the mic?
Some unfortunate conditions of her
Yeah, it is.
upbringing. But she's basically a good person. But I knew that the minute there was no longer any contact, she would talk about this. She would have to, and she couldn't help it. It was a part of her psyche. So I had put myself at risk. So I was not trying to buy her silence. So I get Vernon Jordan to buy her silence. I thought she was a good person. She's not been.
You know, it's wild. Like, I haven't seen this footage, and I mean, I was a kid, like, so I don't even know what there is to pull from this footage for me to remember on this footage, because I had to have the TV on at the time. But it's wild how he's actually kind of sad, and it's like, objectively being analyzed by a machine to validate that. And that didn't really exist at the time, right? So, I don't know, it's kind of wild. You're asking about delay, Andrew. It's a lot of this, none of this is running through an LLM. So there isn't any inference delays. This is all running through Python. So if you have a fast enough computer, and this particular machine is, I don't know how many threads it is, 32 threads or whatever, running at 5 gigahertz. Obviously not all at 5 gigahertz. It's fairly fast. It's faster than the Dell server cluster that I'm running. But the GPU is not great. But this does require a fair bit of actual compute. Oh, the delay from YouTube. That doesn't really factor in because it's gonna let it cache. And so as the program picks up the stream, it's going to analyze when the stream happens. You've got a delay too from the stream. So like the point that I'm at right now is I think probably like a 10-second delay, maybe, is what it looks like. Wow, Clinton was actually very sad answering those questions. I kind of have a little bit more respect for him that he was being genuine there. It's crazy. Oh, well, this is body analysis.
Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist as well as a body language expert, and today we're going to be analyzing the behavior and body language of former President Bill Clinton. Before we get started with this, a couple of quick things. One, I wanted to make sure you know this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind. These are just my opinions. In addition to that, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content.
If you can see, this is only facial analysis. This does not do any body analysis. But YouTube looks like it's crashing here a little bit. Why did that crash? Oh, folks, I think maybe Chrome has just let me down. Let's see. I'm going to have to do a refresh on this. So I think my stream is still live. This is kind of an interesting one. Oh man, that was no bueno, people.
Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist as well as a body language expert, and today we're going to be analyzing the behavior and body language of former President Bill Clinton. Before we get started with this, a couple of quick things. One, I wanted to make sure you know this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind. These are just my opinions. In addition to that, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. Alright, let's go. What we're going to be analyzing today is former President Bill Clinton's deposition to the House Oversight Committee. What we're specifically going to be looking at is Clinton talking about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. We could probably do a follow-up video talking about the Clinton Foundation and other aspects of this, but for today, for the sake of time,
Guys, I'm not obsessed with Clinton, okay? I'm just...
relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. Alright, let's just jump right in.
It's just kind of like the
By the House Committee on Oversight and Government
one thing after another.
under the authority granted to it pursuant to House Rule 10. Accordingly, House Rule...
Now, the first thing I want you to pay attention to is his posture already. See the chin down, eyes up like this? This is a defensive posture. Our neck is very vulnerable, so when we keep our chin down, that tends to be a defensive posture. So he's starting this out in a defensive position.
directing the chairman to authorize and issue a subpoena to you for a deposition. On August 5th, 2025, Chairman...
As you can see, his chin continues to go lower and lower. He's in a very defensive position as they discuss the steps they took in order to get this deposition. Now, what we're going to be doing is jumping around because this is 4.5 hours long. I assume you don't want me to analyze all 4.5 hours, so I'm just going to be showing you the highlights. But now we're going to go ahead and jump to some other sections.
Well, I will try in this testimony, and I will point it out when I wears is a picture of something that predates it. There's a picture that shows him shaking hands in the...
Now we're already seeing how Bill Clinton can be persuasive. You see how he's got a little bit of a smile as he speaks. He's open as he speaks. He looks calm right now. So you have to look very, very carefully if we're going to see whether or not he's being deceptive. But this type of body language immediately makes people feel warm to him. It makes people want to trust what he's saying. So you really have to look at this with a very close eye to see whether or not there's deception.
White House Historical Association reception, that was in 1993, but I'm not aware of that. I first remember meeting him.
And this model needs a little fine-tuning. Bill Clinton is not 41 years old.
I got on his airplane to take the first trip with my foundation in, I think, 2002. Whatever it was.
Now this is interesting. As he's speaking, you're seeing a lot of swallows, a lot of hard swallows, which means that he actually is feeling stress. He also started to say more and cut himself off.
In, I think, 2002. Whatever it was.
You heard him say, but, as though he was going to continue speaking, cut himself off right there and stop talking. Because there must have been something he didn't want to say.
So in this scenario, it's kind of interesting because you've got a guy who's doing real-time analysis based on his perception, right? So it's not objective, it's subjective regardless of what his background is.
I'm done speaking. It's your turn.
That your first memory
Versus a machine kind of doing it independently.
on your first trip, which trip specifically?
Now this right here is a look of surprise. For whatever reason, this question surprises him. Now whether or not that's because the interactions with Epstein predate the first trip, there's something about this that he didn't anticipate, even though this seems like it would have been an obvious question. But this looks like a very genuine reaction of surprise right here.
Which
This guy says surprise, but the model is saying it's fear or anger.
I'm not sure which one it was. Which one is the first? We had... I took all of part of 4 or 5 trips to Asia and Africa and one to Northern Europe on Mr. Epstein's airplane.
What you're noticing, now he has his hand on his chin acting like he's thinking. He's not
I have my hand on my chin too. What does that tell me? Say about me?
Didn't know them well. I would say eye contact is variable. Some people feel very uncomfortable with eye contact. Former President Bill Clinton does not feel uncomfortable at all with eye contact. He's actually got very direct, very clear eye contact. But what you're seeing here is that when he's providing a lot of these responses, he's continuing to look down. Right now we're seeing him obscure his face a little bit. There's a lot of discomfort here as he's talking about this.
And once when I was in Florida, I was offered a ride back to New York. But I wasn't there having it. It was just coincidental that he was there. And I think
that was fairly early in the process. I don't remember exactly. I just know that I did. I took one flight back from Florida to New York, and
So if you're wondering why he would need to think so hard about this, is that if he was in fact on more flights than he claimed, he's going to have to be very careful and very precise that he responds to which flights he was on. Now it seems like it'd be obvious, well of course he's going to remember which ones he said he was on versus which ones people don't know about, but that can get confusing in a situation like this. So when I see his hesitancy, to me that says that he's trying to be selective about what he says.
Is it possible that he's just older too? I mean, I don't know.
I think 4 or 5 trips.
So you may also be noticing that right now he's speaking with one hand. Now typically he's someone who's emphatic and uses both hands, who's very open. So he's someone that's going to want you to listen to what he's saying. You're not seeing so much of that right now. One arm, one hand tends to be less committed than both, particularly for somebody who typically speaks with both hands.
I would put a counter to that, saying that he's sitting on his other hand so that he doesn't communicate too much information.
No independent recollection whatsoever of a certain.
Now you may be noticing the shaking. He's been doing this throughout. I do think this is more age related. I don't think that it's because he's so nervous right now that he cannot shake.
Briefly describe the nature and extent of your relationship with Mr. Epstein.
Well, sometime after I left the White House, either late 2001 or early 2000.
I mean, I don't.
So much more uncomfortable than I've ever actually seen him look. He's someone that seems almost.
Like, I don't. This isn't something that I do, right? Like on a day-to-day basis. I don't sit here and analyze videos, and you have to kind of qualify the veracity of a tool before you rely on it. But for me personally, the subjective experience right now is at least having a tool, a sort of tool that gives you insight into something that may be completely murky to you. It's kind of a different experience, regardless of the accuracy of the tool and all of that stuff, right? You tend to kind of delve in and look into what is, it's hard because I don't use these tools to, assess people in that end. I mean, I've had hundreds of meetings in my time, and assessing people is something that I do have as a professional credential, but stepping into something that I've never done before, I'm being honest here in this stream right now, that this is something that I haven't really done. And so to have a co-pilot, if you will, I'm finding myself looking at the non-choppy stream on this monitor you guys don't see versus the one that the machine's analyzing, and it's giving me insight. Just like how earlier I'm looking at Clinton's testimony from the 90s, and it's giving me a different perspective. I mean, does that make me gullible? Does that make anybody gullible? Or does it just give you more tools to analyze the situation?
Impervious to stress when he's out in public, when he's giving speeches, when he speaks in front of Congress or used to. So to see him like this, it's very interesting. He very much appears more defensive than I've ever seen him look before.
I received a call from Larry Summers, who's been on my economic team and was later Secretary of Treasury, and was then President of Harvard.
All right, immediately after talking about Larry Summers, you're seeing him close up. Now, when people are standing and they have this position, sometimes it's for comfort. But standing for a while is a more comfortable way to stand. Right now, this is clearly closing up. This is an actual defensive posture.
Larry Summers, who's been on my economic team and was later Secretary of Treasury.
I don't know. I'm listening to Dr. G here, and I'm thinking it's supposition.
And he said that
As AI becomes more and more part of our daily lives, privacy is going to become more and more of an issue. That's why today's video is sponsored by AI. The CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, has said that ChatGPT will get to know you over the course of your life. When you consider that ChatGPT also has a former director of the NSA on their board, it all starts to get a little bit more concerning. Fortunately, there's a solution, and it's called AI. AI lets you use AI without handing over your sensitive information. Their founder, Eric Voorhees, is a leading crypto entrepreneur known for advocating for individual financial control and user privacy. Finis utilizes leading open source AI models to deliver text, code, and image generation right to your web browser or via their app. And the best part? Now, I want you to pay close attention to his hands and the way that he moves his head right here.
Flight in 2003.
Now you can see he's fidgeting with his fingers, another atypical behavior for Bill Clinton. He's also continuing to lower his chin. And he's also phrasing this in a very interesting way. I believe my last flight with him was 2003. That's not what he asked. He asked when the last time he interacted with Epstein was. So he's already framing this in a way that is not answering the question directly. And he's closing his fingers off right there. This is a more defensive posture. He's looking down, he's got his hands closed. We're continuing to get a lot of defensiveness from Bill Clinton.
Now, later I became aware of some involvement he had in the first turnover initiative, but it was much later.
Why did you?
You see, he never answered the question directly there. He didn't say when the actual last time they interacted was. He just said when the last flight was supposed to be. So it's a very, very careful way of phrasing this. And he's somebody that is extremely careful with language. If you recall, if you're someone who lived through Clinton's administrations, he talked about what the definition of the word is. So he's someone that's very careful with his language.
When did you first learn of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes?
I think in 2008 when he was prosecuted. There's nothing that I saw when I was around him.
Now, there's so little emphasis to this. When he's saying there's nothing that I saw that was around him. His hand is moving a little bit, but as I've said before, he's someone that tends to have big body language. And we see that at times. When he's feeling really emphatic about something, he shows you. Right now, he's looking down, he's got his chin tucked in as he had before. He's moving as little as possible. There's a lot of signs of deception right here.
There's nothing that I saw when I was around him that made me realize he was trafficking women, and I never.
So it's kind of interesting. Like in my mind, he's saying that he's displaying deception, but looking at Clinton's deposition from the 90s, right? So this is kind of interesting. I don't think we saw that in terms of at least the machine judging what Clinton was saying. And so what Dr. G is saying here to me is a lot more subjective than it is objective, right? Because what the hell does a machine care about Clinton? It's only measuring him at this point in time. And what the machine was saying was that he was very neutral about it, which is kind of in line with his testimony from the 90s. And when he was talking about, Lewinsky, this poor girl that was basically victimized by, I don't even remember the name, Ken Starr, or whoever the hell the prosecutor was, and manipulated by Linda Tripp and all that. He was genuinely concerned, at least according to the machine, right? So we can anthropomorphize that all we want, but the machine doesn't seem to indicate that. And now it is counter to what this Dr. G guy is saying. He's not saying anything that could be pulled up in the transcript that could be analyzed in terms of logical fallacies go, but maybe I need to build a module for voice analysis.
Trailed off again, and I never stopped talking right there. He said this is the second time he's had to do this, where he's about to say something else and has to cut himself off.
When I was around him, it made me realize he was trafficking women, and I never.
I mean, it caught him having signs of anger right there, which, if you look at the response that he had to Lewinsky, he was genuinely upset about how Lewinsky was treated, right? Even though I think it's a risk to him personally, right? Because if he shows affection or shows any kind of partiality, he's sort of kind of admitting to some sort of bias. But Clinton doesn't care. Maybe I would think I don't know. I'm speculating here. I'm thinking he doesn't care. And in this end, I think he's genuinely concerned about the things that Epstein did. It's showing anger here, but earlier there was a couple flashes of fear in his face. I think that fear's got to be potentially the implication to him. A guy like that likes to think about legacy. So, you know, and let me throw this out to you a little bit, like my take on things, like, you know, my education in behavior and neuroscience is what I'm building some of these tools around. I have a perspective many times of what is the unconscious giving up that your conscious awareness does not know about. And so I'm of the school of thought of a bifurcation between your biological self in an autonomic nervous system mode versus what your upper cerebral cortex is actually communicating to the world. So, you know, like whatever comments I'm making, just kind of put it in that perspective. Because I'm not trying to create any kind of persuasion for my position. I'm just trying to analyze how this software is doing what it's doing.
I think that's very interesting.
Can you briefly, for the record, describe the nature and extent of your relationship with Miss Maxwell?
Yes, it was. It lasted longer and was more extensive than my relationship with Mr. Epstein because
Now, this is a very interesting set of body language right here.
Can you briefly, for the record, describe the nature and extent of your relationship with Miss Maxwell?
yes,
So you're seeing a lot of self-soothing behaviors, touching his nose, touching his chin. Now you're going to see him close his arms off. So this is a very, once again, a very defensive way to respond.
it lasted longer and was more extensive.
So he's feeling the need to protect himself right now. So even though he is saying it was a deeper relationship than what I had with Jeffrey Epstein, he is still closed up. So there are things about this that seem to bother him.
But he didn't have to disclose that. He had, you know, he's a competent attorney. He did not have to disclose the extent and the depth of his relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell. So either Billy Clinton's kind of losing his edge, or he's not. There's nothing for him to lose here. Maybe I'm killing the stream by getting caught up in this too much, but I want to know what this tool is catching and what it's not, and what I need to build into it, because this is very much first article. It's not even beta; it's alpha at this point, and I think there's a lot more that can go into this in terms of tool sets for analysis and automated analysis.
His face. What I am curious about is if that reaction was him processing and thinking about what it is that Hillary had said the day before, wondering if I just said something that conflicted with what she said, because there truly was a look of shock right here. So there's some sort of realization he's coming to. I haven't watched.
This dude's projecting, clearly projecting.
My relationship with Mr. Epstein because
And when did your relationship with Miss Maxwell end?
I don't think I've seen it in a decade. It's been a
Looking up means he's going through his memory banks.
long time. I don't know exactly when.
So I don't think I've seen her in a decade. That would put his relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell up to 2016. That's pretty late.
I think I've seen it in a decade. I don't know. It's been a long time. I don't know exactly when.
And your communications with Mr. Epstein, did you ever have any communications that were not related to the foundation?
I don't believe we ever talked about anything but the work we were doing. And maybe small talk. I can't imagine. I don't remember the conversations.
And for the record, before we move on, did you
There's a remarkable lack of confidence in many of Bill Clinton's responses. Now, I've skipped over a lot because, like I said, this is just so long, but we are seeing very similar body language question to question. He's closed off, he's leaning back.
Okay, this has gotten kind of boring. I think maybe I have enough to edit together from this live stream. I wish there was better videos to throw against the tool. But you know, I guess I could go back and pull up Discord. Let's see what these guys are talking about right now. Are they talking about anything interesting? No? No one's presenting?
That's 3782 for the image size. The blank image size?
And if you can look on the stream,
The resolution, 3000.
Oh, the off tree?
No, sorry, the empty latent. Right there,
Oh.
where it comes to
the
3000.
transcription's like ongoing. As is
Oh, okay.
the fallacies, the logic analysis is going on real time.
See how it goes. And what about for the threshold?
That would, good question.
This one default is 0.6. This one made it easier. I'll just put it back to default.
Alright, give it a shot.
Okay, I'll try this.
Well, it didn't
So I might. Oh, I guess it unloads after every run, so that's okay. Okay, it's going.
Watch just be dog shit. It's totally possible.
Anyways, I will probably kill this stream now because it's probably getting boring for most people. But that's the tool. I don't even have a company built around it. I don't have a website built around it. This is very much an alpha project, and so I don't even know what to call it yet. But I just built it because I wanted to have a co-pilot for when I have a couple of Zooms coming up, and I'm supposed to demo something to a technology group here in my local area pretty soon. I was going to demo something else, but maybe I'll demo this. Maybe they'll find this a little bit interesting. So I'm going to kill the stream now. If there's anything else you guys think is interesting, I don't have an email address around this. I wouldn't even know how you would reach me. But drop a message in the channel's comments, I guess. Like if there's a video you think would be good to throw on for analysis. All right. Thanks for watching the two of you.